Everyone for joining us this morning. I do have a PowerPoint today. We're going to talk about the federal fiscal year 24 and 25 HUD Continuum of Care program opportunities. Some of this information is still tentative. HUD is releasing information, has been releasing information over the past week. So our website will be updated as soon as we know more information. But I wanted to take this chance to pull people together, people who are existing grantees, people who might be thinking about bonus grant opportunities. And talk a little bit about the funding that is intended to be available and the timeline that we'll be using. All right. So our goals for today are going to be to talk a little bit about the CoC resources that are available to be able to assist the applicants. Then we're going to talk about HUD, this particular notice of funding opportunity, some of the terms that are used, and some of the information that HUD is looking for and that will be part of this application. We'll review our local application timeline. Again, this is tentative. HUD is still releasing information about this NOFO. So all of this is subject to change if HUD releases something in the next couple days that changes how that timeline is going to work, or the information or priorities that are going to be set aside for this opportunity. And then at the end, we'll have an opportunity for some questions and answers. We will also be hosting, if you were part of this process last year and in prior years, we'll be hosting some technical assistance sessions as well, both during the local program application process and once the local projects have all been awarded, as there is the need to enter things into eSnaps or how that process works, we'll have some technical assistance available during that time frame as well. This PowerPoint will be posted on our website, but I do have some important and helpful links. The first one is on our website. Our NOFO page is aceh.org/2024-NOFO. We will be updating that website regularly as we have more materials to share with you all, and recordings of any of these sessions that people might be wanting to refer back to, or if you miss any of the meetings, being able to reference those recordings. We'll also have a link to the HUD NOFO. You'll notice here, and we're going to talk about this today, that it is over 2 fiscal years. So HUD this year has released this NOFO, and it will be for grants that will be for 2 years. So we will not have this process again next year. We will pick it up again with the 2026 money. There's a link to the ICA HMIS data and reports page. We're going to talk today about some system performance measures that HUD looks at and that we will be looking at through the rank and review process on the project application. So I want you to be able to reference what that information is and run the reports for your individual projects. Sorry about that. There's a link to the HMIS knowledge base. So if you have questions about how to run reports or what the specific data points mean, that knowledge base is there. And then our email address, if you have any questions or need any assistance, grants@aceh.org. That is a shared mailbox that goes to multiple people, and somebody will see that message and get back to you. All right. So starting off about the NOFO. What is a NOFO? So NOFO stands for Notice of Funding Opportunity, and this particular Notice of Funding Opportunity is talking about Continuum of Care funds. The Continuum of Care process is a community-wide application process that supports housing programs in continuums of care. You'll see that referenced as CoCs, with a goal of ending homelessness. And there are more than 400 CoCs nationwide. Here in Alaska, there are 2. Our CoC, the one we are talking about right now, is the municipality of Anchorage. So we cover a geographic area that goes from the Knickoff Arm Bridge going north down to the Whittier Tunnel going south. So any projects within that geographic area are eligible for funding under this funding opportunity. And then all of these projects are serving to meet HUD strategic goals. So supporting underserved communities, ensuring that there's access to and increasing the production of affordable housing, promoting home ownership, and advancing sustainable communities. So the HUD priorities under this NOFO, they are looking for projects with a goal of ending homelessness for all persons, so serving people experiencing homelessness. Using a housing first approach. Anchorage is a housing first community, so all of the projects that are funded under this NOFO need to commit to using a housing first approach. A goal of reducing unsheltered homelessness. Improving our system performance measures. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, but looking at those specific data points where HUD determines whether or not your COC and your projects are successful. Partnering with housing, health, and other service agencies. This has been a priority for HUD for a while now, and this year we're going to see a few changes. They're not just looking for COCs to say, yes, I'm partnering with those agencies. They want to see that proof. So they want to see those memorandums of agreement or memorandums of understanding that show not just that we are partnering with those agencies, but what those relationships look like and what the roles and responsibilities of each entity are. They're looking to center racial equity. So looking at where people are disproportionately represented in a community's population of people experiencing homelessness, and how the specific projects that are funded through our COC are addressing and centering racial equity in all of their project design and project implementation. Improving access to LGBTQ plus individuals. So in that same way, looking at that overrepresentation and how are those specific projects addressing that. Including people with lived experience and expertise in all of those decision-making points. So each individual project will be looked at to see how they include people with lived experience and expertise in how they have designed that project and how they improve that project, but also as a COC, how we are including people with lived experience and expertise. And then increasing the affordable housing supply. So through our projects that are permanent supportive housing, rapid rehousing, or transitional housing with a rapid rehousing component, increasing that access to affordable housing and the supply of affordable housing in our community. Some NOFO lingo. So the collaborative application is our overall application for our community that is submitted through the collaborative applicant, which is the Anchorage Coalition to End Homelessness. This application has community-wide input. We will be hosting multiple town hall style sessions to gather input and to gather information to be included in that collaborative application. And it's submitted by the Coalition for the Anchorage Continuum of Care and AHFC for the Balance of State Continuum of Care directly to HUD. And then this impacts our level of funding. So again, every point counts. There are multiple places where we have an opportunity to improve our score over last year. And so I'm really excited to work together with everyone in our community to get every point that we can. The second piece of this process is our local project applications. So this is what you all are going to submit to the Rank and Review Committee. So there are two types of applications that will be submitted. Renewal applications are for existing grantees. So if you get a COC grant right now you will be applying for a renewal of that project. We did do a notice of intent to renew, and everybody who has a grant currently has indicated that they intend to renew that grant. So, everyone that has a grant will be submitting a renewal application. And then there's opportunities for new or bonus projects in 2 different categories that will be submitted to us, to the Rank and Review Committee. Those applications go through the rank and review process. So there's a scoring matrix, just like most grant application processes. That committee will be reading and reviewing all of those applications. They'll be scoring them, and then based on those scores, they get ranked. And then, of course, all of that gets compared to what the local priorities are and goes into that rank and review process. We are going to touch on the Youth Homelessness Demonstration Project, or YHDP, renewals and replacements. So again, as I stated, everyone who has an existing grantee has submitted an intent to renew form. So there are no planned replacements of projects. Those projects will be renewing. They are competitive, and so they do have to meet the eligibility and renewal criteria in order to be part of the rank and review process. And then the last step is the eSNAPS application. So once that rank and review process is completed and an application has been selected, then those applicants will submit their application to HUD using the eSNAPS project portal. So as I said, we will have multiple technical assistance opportunities for people who need assistance with submitting those applications into eSNAPS. Our overall collaborative application also will be submitted through the eSNAPS portal. So eligible applicants, this is for both new projects coming in and renewal projects. The organizations that are eligible are nonprofit organizations, state and local governments, and tribes and tribally designated housing entities, or TDHEs. So those are the 3 categories of organizations that can apply for funding. For-profit organizations are not eligible applicants for this funding. Eligible applicants must demonstrate financial and management capacity and experience. So they need to be able to show that they have that experience and capacity to carry out the project that they're proposing. The population to be served has to meet the eligibility requirements, and as I said, must be located in Anchorage, in our CoC geographical area. And then second to last, a commitment to use our HMIS, our coordinated entry community-wide prioritization list for referrals into your project, and adhering to housing first practices. And then last, if it's applicable, a review of the organization's past performance. So we talked about those data points, we talked about those system performance measures. That is all part of the scoring process for new and renewal projects. So our HUD categories of homelessness, there's 2 different categories that are part of these projects based on what type of projects that you are applying for. You'll hear them called Category 1, Category 4. Category 1 just means literally homeless. So someone who meets the HUD definition of literal homelessness. What that does not include, unfortunately, is someone who is doubled up. And then Category 4, fleeing or attempting to flee domestic violence, dating violence, stalking, and human trafficking. If you are an organization that is thinking about applying for a DV bonus project and serving people who meet that Category 4 definition, one thing to note is that you can propose in your project that you will be serving people who are fleeing or attempting to flee human trafficking, but you cannot serve 100% of your population in that category. So it can be a mix of people fleeing domestic violence, dating violence, stalking, and human trafficking, but it can't be 100% human trafficking. So eligible project types, and again, this is for both new and renewal projects. Permanent supportive housing. So permanent supportive housing will serve categories 1 and or categories 4 homelessness. And a subtype of permanent supportive housing is dedicated plus programs. And so dedicated plus programs are 100% for folks who meet the HUD definition of chronically homeless. So not just meeting the definition of category 1 or category 4, but also meeting the chronic definition. Rapid rehousing. So rapid rehousing projects are not permanent. So permanent supportive housing is rental assistance and supportive services that continues as long as that person meets the eligibility criteria for your program and they want to continue in that program. Rapid rehousing programs also provide that rental assistance and those supportive services, but it's time limited. The maximum amount of time that a rapid rehousing program can provide supports is 24 months. And again, serving that category 1 and category 4. A third type of project is a joint transitional housing and rapid rehousing. Transitional housing is housing that is not permanent, but is not does not have a lease. And then all transitional housing projects have to have a rapid rehousing component built in. And again, the total time frame of service for a joint transitional housing and rapid rehousing project is also 24 months. So if someone is in your transitional housing project for 12 months, the maximum rapid rehousing assistance that could be provided is an additional 12 months to that. If your joint transitional housing rapid rehousing project only had 6 months in the transitional housing program, you could have 18 months of the rapid rehousing. So both of them added together can't go over 24 months. And then renewals for other project types. We have 2 other projects that are part of the project types, and that's our coordinated entry project and then our HMIS project. And so those 2 projects just have to meet the project renewal threshold. You can't come in with a new project for those 2 categories. Our HUD system performance measures. So I'm going to call out 2 notes here. In order to get the maximum number of points on our collaborative application, and by that, having the best chance of being awarded all of our bonus funding, our application, so the local project application, has to have 20% of its available points linked to the system performance and 33% based on objective criteria. So when our application is released, the scoring matrix is released along with it, and you'll be able to see how those different points are allocated between system performance measures and objective criteria. We can also receive up to 14 additional points on our collaborative application if the priority listing, so again, that rank and review list of all of the projects that were submitted for funding, if that contains new project applications that are either created through a reallocation process or bonus projects that utilize housing vouchers and healthcare integration. So keeping that in mind, those additional 14 points can sometimes make or break whether or not your project, your COC's bonus projects get awarded. So we'll be looking to maximize as many points as we can on that collaborative application. So some system performance measures that HUD looks at. They look at our median length of time homelessness or length of time homeless. So that is from when the first time that person enters homelessness to the time they go into permanent housing. They look at how long that time frame is. They look at returns to homelessness. So when someone moves into permanent housing, do they retain that housing? Do they stay in that housing, or do they have a return to homelessness that happens? They look at the number of people experiencing homelessness in our CoC. They look at employment and income growth. So all of our projects that somebody is in for longer than 12 months have a requirement to do an annual assessment. In that annual assessment, you'll be looking at each individual person's employment and income. And so they want to see growth year over year for participants in our projects when it comes to income. They look at the number of people in our community that are experiencing homelessness for the first time. Oh, and then I don't know what that typo is at the end, measure 7 permanent, but I don't know what that is. But yeah, so HUD looks at those system performance measures, and they look at our performance year over year as a continuum of care when they're assigning these points and scoring our collaborative applications. So here's an estimate of our funding chart. And as I said, I'm really excited to be able to share that the percent of funding available for bonus opportunities has increased since last year. But one change that is making that possible for HUD across the nation is that they've changed the allocations between Tier 1 and Tier 2. So Tier 1 funding is your more secure funding for your continuum of care. Tier 2 funding is the projects that fall to the bottom of that priority listing and that rank and review process. So for the Anchorage's continuum of care, and again, I just want to stress again, this is estimated. HUD has not released this information yet for the 2024-2025 allocations, but this is estimated based on our grant inventory worksheets. So for our continuum of care, the Tier 1 amount available should be somewhere around $3,778,962. And that will make our Tier 2 amount, which is 10% of our annual renewal demand, $419,845. In the past, that split was 93% of our annual renewal demand in Tier 1 and 7% in Tier 2. So you can see that a larger percent of your funding is allocated and set aside for Tier 2. That line where it cuts off is going to be higher up in the list. Planning funds stayed stable at 5% of our ARD, so estimated to be just over 200,000. CoC bonus. So last year, the amount that was available for CoC bonus funds was 7%. It is increased to 12% this year. So that puts our amount available for CoC bonus funds should be right around $500,000. And then our domestic violence bonus funds. So these are going to be projects that are looking or that are serving people who meet that definition 4 of categorically homeless with HUD has increased from 12% to 15%. So we should see a total bonus amount between the two different project types of just over $1 million, which is really exciting for our CoC. So our total potential funds for our CoC, including all of our renewal grants, planning grants, and if we are awarded full bonus funds, would take it to just over $5.5 million. So what about the YHDP programs? All of our YHDP grantees have to submit a renewal application and make sure that they answer all of the questions. Last year was the first year that our YHDP grantees went through the competitive process. So This year is a continuation of that same process. YHDPs would be allowed to submit replacement grant applications. As I said, everyone submitted an intent to renew. So right now, I do not know of any YHDP grantees that are planning a replacement grant. If you are a YHDP grantee and you want to talk more about that, please reach out and let us know. But what that allows you to do, existing grantees can change their program types and make budget changes. In order to do that, though, you do have to have a letter of support from our statewide YAB. So if you are a YHDP grantee and you want to do that, please reach out very, very soon so we can talk about what that process will entail. Otherwise, you will be submitting renewal applications just like we did last year. So new projects, as I said, the total bonus projects available, so our CoC bonus and our DV bonus, should be just over $1 million combined. Our CoC bonus funding uses, so you can apply for a CoC bonus project for any amount up to the maximum amount, which when it is published will be on our website, for a permanent supportive housing project, a rapid rehousing project, or a joint transitional housing and rapid rehousing project. Our domestic violence bonus funding uses are rapid rehousing projects, joint transitional housing or rapid rehousing projects. And there's also a possibility for a domestic violence focused coordinated entry project. All of those applicants will go through the scoring and ranking process, just like the renewal applications do. So if we have multiple applications for bonus projects in either or both categories, they will be scored and ranked. If all of the applications are for the maximum amount, we will be selecting one bonus project to move forward. As I said, all of the renewal projects have submitted a notice of intent to renew. So there is not reallocation funds proposed to be available. That will all, if anything changes on that, that will all be posted on the website prior to the applications being posted. So a couple notes again, the DV bonus can be used for new or expansion domestic violence specific project applications where 100% of the participants are or will be survivors of domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, stalking, and as I said, trafficking is included in there, but trafficking cannot be 100% of your participants. I talked about this a little bit in a meeting a few weeks ago, but I do just want to stress again that you do not have to be a DVSA organization, domestic violence sexual assault organization, to be able to apply for the DV bonus funding. You just have to only serve people who meet that criteria. So if you have an existing rapid rehousing project, for example, and you wanted to expand that project and have a section of that project that is focused on domestic violence participants, you are able to do that. You do not have to be a DVSA organization to apply for those bonus funds. All right, the NOFO process. If you've applied for this funds in the past or you are an existing grantee, this should look really familiar. This process has not changed from last year. So we will have 3 different projects all coming in at the same time. We will have our YHDP renewals or replacements if anybody comes through with that. We will have all of our renewal project applications. So those grantees that are receiving funds now and are renewing those projects. And then those new project applications that are coming in. All of those go to our rank and review committee. Our rank and review committee will then review, score, and rank all of those applications. That creates what we call the priority listing. That priority listing will go to the Continuum of Care Advisory Council for them to approve. Once that is approved, those are our selected projects. That list will be posted and published on our website. And then those projects will put in applications through the eSNAPS portal to HUD. At that same time, we'll be working on our collaborative application. So that collaborative application takes all of those project applications, brings in all of that community input, all of those partnerships that exist in our community and in our continuum of care, and answers all of the questions in that application. That also gets submitted to HUD. The deadline for everything to be submitted to HUD is October 30th. We'll have some timeline conversation at the next slide, but just wanted to share that deadline there, and that this is the process that people will be following from the time projects go out to the time everything goes into HUD. So again, tentative timeline, but I wanted to be able to share this with everyone now. So July 31st is when the NOFO was released by HUD. August 16th is when we plan to launch that local competition. So that's when the project applications and the renewal applications will be posted on our website and available for people to start working on. That introduction is happening today. So today's conversation is the introduction to that. Those applications will be launched tentatively August 16th. September 9th, those local applications will be due to the coalition to be able to be passed on to that rank and review committee so they can do their work. September 27th is the planned time to publish those funding recommendations. So after the advisory council has done their approval process, that will be published out on the website, and all of the applicants will be notified of the funding decision. So whether their project was ranked and accepted or whether their project did not make the ranking. October 15th is when all of those eSNAPS entries will be due for all of the different projects, so that we're able to review them and integrate them into the collaborative application. And then, as I said, October 30th is the due date for the collaborative application to be submitted to HUD. So our technical assistance sessions that we have set up. So we'll have technical assistance through the local competition timeline. These will be happening in August and September. They'll be on Fridays. So August 23rd, August 30th, and September 6th. We will have, really they're like office hours, where we'll just have an open session for anyone who needs assistance with that local competition application, has questions about it. We are not able to answer questions about your specific project, but we are able to help with, say, I'm having trouble filling in this spot on the application, or I'm confused what is being asked in this particular question. We're not able to answer questions like, I'm thinking about applying for this really specific project. Can you tell me if it's eligible? Those are not the kind of questions that we can answer, but we can answer technical assistance questions on the application itself. And then in October, we'll be hosting 2 technical assistance sessions for people who may need assistance with the eSNAPS application. So if you are having trouble getting into the system, you're not sure what HUD is asking for in one of the specific segments, or you just need technical assistance with how to get that information in there, will be available on those 2 days. So watch for an email with an invite and calendar links to add those to your calendar. And again, always feel free to reach out to us at grants@aceh.org if you have any questions related to any of the technical assistance. So that is what I have for us today. I do want to open it up and have an opportunity for some questions. If anyone has questions, I'm going to stop sharing my screen at this point. Like I said, this PowerPoint and recording will be available on our website. So if you missed something or want to go back to it, that is available. And I see people are grabbing questions in the chat. I really appreciate that, Kim and Mac. Thank you. So yeah, open it up now. If anyone has any questions, Kirsty, go ahead.
Sorry, thanks. So is it ever the case where a new project is proposed, the coalition, the Continuum of Care approves it, it's submitted to HUD, and HUD doesn't fund it at the full amount? Like and then the agency isn't able to do the project for whatever was authorized, whatever was granted, then what happens to those funds?
Yeah, that's a great question. And short answer is yes, that does happen. Particularly with the bonus projects, like I said, the bonus project scoring and awarding of funds is dependent on not just the strength of the bonus application, but the strength of the overall collaborative application. And sometimes when they are awarding the funding, it is not enough to cover the entire amount of a grant. And so HUD does typically reach out to the Continuum of Care and to the grantee and essentially ask, like, is this still a viable project at this dollar amount? If the answer is no, then unfortunately that money is lost to our community. So that is definitely something to keep in mind as we are putting together these bonus projects, is what type of scalability might exist within them. And I do encourage, if that does happen to us, that we're able to have that conversation and figure it out. Because if we can accept the funds and then potentially partner with another organization that maybe has other funding, or reach out to an organization like the Mental Health Trust or AHFC to see if we're able to supplement that funding, that would be wonderful for our community, to not lose the money, but figure out how we can, as a community, come together around that project and make it viable with the amount HUD is able to provide.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming. Oh, go ahead, Taylor.
Thanks, Jessica. I just thought of this. Earlier, you mentioned needing MOAs for applications. Is that for the collaborative application, like something ACEH is pursuing, or is that something that we should make sure we have in place for our applications?
It's something that is for the collaborative application, but in the past, I will say this, I can't speak for the advisory council, but in the past, the application for the projects has just said things like, do you partner with these types of organizations? And since HUD is looking more specifically for not just do you partner with them, but how do you partner with them? I would anticipate that question having a narrative that goes along with it, that asks the grantees to talk about what those partnerships do, and not just like the checkbox. But yeah, the specific MOAs and MOUs will be part of the collaborative application.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
All right. Well, like I said, we are open in terms of the distributed email, grants@aceh.org. So if you think of a question later, always feel free to shoot us an email, and we can take a look at it and figure out the answer to that for you. As I shared, we do plan on having some technical assistance availability during the local application timeframe. So if you have questions about the application specifically once it's released, that would be the opportunity to be able to ask the question in a group setting. Sometimes the answers, I can say this as someone who has submitted an application and been on this side of it. Sometimes it's really nice to talk to other people who are applying and see if they were having the same issue or how they were proposing to answer a certain question. Sometimes the networking and brainstorming side of it is a little bit more helpful than just the kind of bureaucratic HUD answer that we can give you as the coalition. But all of that information will be posted on the website as it is available, and we will be watching the HUD website every day to watch for the specific dollar amounts as those are released. And we'll be sharing that out as soon as we have it. But right now, all we really have is the estimates that are part of our grant inventory worksheet and the percent amounts that are listed in the NOFO. But I'm really excited to see so many people online, and I'm really excited to be able to see all of the bonus applications that are going to be coming in because I feel really confident in our community that we are going to bring in a lot of additional funds to serve people experiencing homelessness and really move the needle for us. So this recording will be available out on our website if anyone has a need to go back to it. And again, if you have any questions, definitely reach out and let us know. But thank you again for joining us, and we will talk more soon.